you're riding the chair, or you're going down the mountain, you're all in the same elements. You're still feeling the cold, there's still the wind, there's still all those things. But when you're going down the mountain and you're fully doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not paying attention to those elements. But if you're just standing down on the mountain and you're not stepping into it, guess what? That's all you're going to feel. That's all you're going to notice is the cold, the elements coming against you, and seeing other people going and doing. And we all could be stepping into that. So that's kind of just the picture I saw was that. And also the most important thing to know is no matter where you are, if you don't even get on the lift, if you get on the lift and you just go round and round and round, you're still loved. You're still loved. You're still held. You're still known. But the fun, the adrenaline, all the fun is stepping into it and going down the mountain, just doing the thing. So that's kind of, I might have missed some things, but I feel like that's basically, I'll look over my notes. So it's basically just kind of what I like, just do it. That's the fun. You're going to feel the elements, and no matter, so why not just go all in and say yes. And then one other thing I wanted to say in regards to like wisdom is sometimes we have to consider that wisdom will look like foolishness, even to ourselves and even to the people around us. Meaning, like, God could tell me something, and to me, I could be like, what? Like, that is ridiculous. But God is not foolish. So that's what I would say as far as what I think. There's lots of aspects to wisdom, but what I feel right now is just that, like, that's what wisdom sometimes looks like, is foolishness.
I've got my own.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Is you going?
I don't know.
Go for
Do
it.
we have questions?
No, there's no questions. This is totally like, we are just flying by the seat of our pants here, which is so fun. Okay, I want to draw our attention to a couple different things that Tiffany said. Lisa, sorry. Because I think that this is something that we get caught up in. And I love the fact that God was showing her the picture of people comparing what it is that they were suited up as and in, and what their call was, or what their mountain was, where it was that they were going. And like, he drew your attention to, like, don't be mindful of what the person next to you is putting on, because it doesn't have anything to do with you. And with that is the knowing that it will look foolish. Like, the thing that God sets before us is so outlandish and will take utter audacity for us to actually chase down and tackle. And it's okay. It will feel absolutely foolish to say yes to that kind of thing. That I have been put in this situation over and over again where I'm like, but God, and I have the whole laundry list why this is not going to work. Number one, I don't have the right body parts, right? Like, that's been a real issue for me. Like, I'm a girl, and you want me to do what? And so that's been a real issue in my life where my husband, knock it off, control him. That's been a real issue for me, to have to, like, work out. Number one, I had to go to those spots of scripture and, like, work that out for myself and be like, okay, like, I need to know what is this all saying? Because listen, like, I have actually been told that it's only by the grace of God that I will not go to hell for doing what I do. I mean, like, things like that is what I have been faced with. And so that feels foolish to be like, okay, why would I put myself through this to chase down the call that God's put on my life? Because of the adventure, right? Like, and I also love that you said that no matter what, we're held. Like, there is a cost involved to saying yes. And it's okay. If we take the chicken exit 100 times, it's okay. You are missing out, but it's okay, because we're still held and we're still very much loved. Do I want us all on the grand adventure? Yes, of course I do. I want to be the one throwing you off the ski lift. The first time I ever went skiing, I was in high school, and we had gone as a youth group. And there was a girl that was in our youth group that was scared out of her mind. We were on the ski lift all together, like back to back to back to back. And this girl, she missed the first round, stayed on, went back up, 3 times. And then our youth group leader stood there at the top waiting for her to come back around, and he yanked her off this thing just to get her off the dang ski lift because she was just terrified. And that really is such a picture sometimes of what it is that God is asking of us. It can be terrifying to the point where we retreat over and over and over again. So that's my addition to your vision. It's just like, number one, you're loved no matter what, but you're also missing out.
Going back to like getting on a ski lift, I've been once, and I am not a fan of heights. Like I could go to the roller coasters and everything, but they're going to come up and you're like staying on and you don't have to go down that hill. But it is terrifying. Like to me, it was just getting on the actual lift of just like, okay, I'm going to say yes, I'm going to do it. And same thing, I went in high school with a group of kids from church, and it was like, yeah, it's going to be fun. And you guys are snowboarding because I don't know how, and I will ski because this is my first time skiing. So I'll take it slow. But it was the getting the courage to be like, yes, I'm going to go. First of all, I'm going to go with you guys because I don't trust you guys driving in the snow. But like, and then it's like, okay, now we got to get to the mountain. And then we have to figure out, are you skiing or snowboarding? And then, okay, let's put those skis on or the snowboard. Then I have to actually take that ski lift up. And so it was hard. It was like, push, push, push. Like, come on, Tiffany, you could do it. But not saying like, you don't want to say no because you want to do what everybody else is doing. But at the same time, saying yes it takes courage and strength too at the same time. Like, okay, I could do it. And so getting on, and I'll take the bunny hill. And then it's like the steps, right? Like I'll get off on the first one and you guys can keep going, or you guys can take the death trail or whatever it is. The hard one. I'll stay with the bunny hill, and then once, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. But to do it over and over, it's like, okay, take a breath. Like take a breath. Okay, I got the first one done. And then I'm going to conquer the next one. And that's like going through life. Like when you're young, it's, hey, why don't you do this? And then as you get older, there are steps of, hey, I think you're stronger now than you were. So let's do this. And then let's do this. And then you just gain wisdom, and you gain that knowledge of God is going to put you in some big areas and circumstances to where you're going to be like, okay, am I going to ride it, or am I just not going to at all? And I've been there so many times and it's just a growth. Like every time you're growing and growing and getting stronger and more wisdom. And are you going to say yes this time? Or are you not going to say yes? And it's fine if you don't. But again, you might miss out on something if you don't. So it's just, I want to encourage everyone here. Even myself, of as we get older, we're going to learn to take that step and to get on and take that the next lift, the next, I don't know, grade level of hill. I don't know. Like, I don't know how they do that, but don't just take the bunny trail all the time. It's let's step in, and yes, it could be huge. Being a pastor, that's huge. Like you're talking in front of people every week, and you got to come up with the things, and it's just, that's huge. But it didn't start off that way. It was, I'll talk, and then lead, we'll lead youth group, and that was huge. And then it was just like, hey, here's your church, so it's like going and going and going. So yeah, I just want to encourage everyone, just to take that step and be willing to grow. And if you need the wisdom, just speak out, like ask someone, like, hey, how do you feel about, not that they have to make the choice for you. It's just getting that counsel. Yes. So, and that's a lot of wisdom too, is getting counsel. Like, oh, how do you feel? Like, if you could find that one person that, you feel you can go to, ask them, bring it to before them and ask them to pray about it with you. So.
Oftentimes, I think that even just saying the thing out loud for the first time feels like the biggest thing you can accomplish in the moment, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm also reminded of the story of, remember when David was bringing the ark into Jerusalem, and like they tried it their own way and people died. And then so like God gave them very clear orders that this is how you need to do it. And you remember when they finally came in, David was dancing so exuberantly at that point because it was a yes over and over and over again that he had to give to God along the way. And he's dancing so exuberantly that he's losing his clothes. And his wife at the time, Michael or Michael, however you say her name, is standing there like judging him. And I think that honestly what happened there is like there was jealousy in her heart to where she was going like, I want to be this free. I want to be able to say yes to these kinds of things. And there was a jealousy rising up in her. Like, I want that, but I also don't have the bravery or the courage to say yes to those kinds of things. And so I think for us, like there's always this opportunity, always an invitation is what I like to say, that's being extended to be able to advance with him, to go to the next adventure with him. I like that we're on this like skiing theme. It seems appropriate for January, but it's interesting to me that there's always movement in the kingdom. Like he's always wanting to advance. We know that the kingdom is always advancing. And so why would we think that we stand still? Like that doesn't make sense. So there's always an invitation being extended to us to be able to offer our yes to. And that's so exciting to me because like I said earlier, so Tiffany, while we were eating dinner, this is for the sake of the people watching online, she asked, what was your question specifically?
What are you looking for in community?
What are you looking for in community? And so we were kind of going around the table and just offering like some one word answers. And Amy and I both were like, spicy. We want community to be spicy. And I had said, like we shared what our definitions of that were, and they were different. But I want to have to relearn you. I want your yes to be so audacious and your actions to be so just involved in the thing that God is saying, asking you to do, that I have to relearn. You have to rediscover, who are you now? Like you're doing like these new things to where I'm just like, oh my gosh, what just came in the room with you, to where we're all like put on notice, like something changed, something shifted. What did you do this week? Right? And that's kind of what, when Lisa was sharing this vision with me, I was like, shoot, where you been? You know what I'm saying? And we have that opportunity every day. His mercies are new every single morning. And so we have this fresh laid snow to play in every single day. It's like, what are we going to do with it? Jesus, where are we going today? How are we going to make full use of today so that I'm not the one standing there surveying going, why are they acting like that? Because that's what we do. When we fail to say yes, the only thing we have left is judgment.
Yeah. I was just going to add something else, which I was just reminded of, which is that in my picture that I saw, it was God's hands that brought us up the mountain, and it was Holy Spirit that guided us down. So even in this, like he's still doing it. It's just all it requires of us is our yes, our yes with the outfit on, our yes to get in our line, the yes to go up the hill, just the continual yes. But it actually, I mean, it was him bringing us up and him guiding us down.
Can I share something that happened this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you do it? I can't. Take it to your mic.
Hey.
Well, this is, anyway, I'll just say it. So earlier this week, I learned about a website called 34 Blue Doors. And it's about this person who's a believer who She and her husband retired early and became minimalists, and they spend their lives traveling around the world. And they'll stay for several months at different continents and experience all this beauty. So I'm looking on her website, and I'm looking at like king penguins in the country of Georgia, and then I'm looking down in Brazil at these amazing tide pools. And I have a very adventuresome spirit, and I'm like, Lord, why did you make me like this? And here I am, so like grounded in January in Kansas. So true story. So the next morning, I'm waiting for someone to meet me for breakfast, and I'm on my phone, and I'm Googling art or painting workshops in 2022. So I come across this painting workshop in Tuscany, Italy, and on a lark, I wrote them and said, do you have any openings? And she writes back, she says, no, we're completely full. I said, well, could you put me on a waiting list? So she writes back like immediately and says, we just had a cancellation. What? I know. So I called my husband. I said, can I go to Tuscany, Italy in July? And he said, sure. So I know. And I'm okay. Backstory to this. I like prayed for a hobby that I could do alone with no one else with me for 20 years. I prayed for a hobby. And 3 years ago, I started watercolor painting. And the rest is history. So God is taking me on a lot of adventures these days. Praise the Lord.
Incredible. So fun. So fun. Right? I know. That is an incredible story.
I'm like, I'm going to go stay with 8 people I've never met before in a little place.
Yes. Go.
Like amazing artists. And I'm like,
No, yeah, you got your outfit on.
You've got
You got your outfit on. You don't gotta look at theirs.
Wow. That's amazing. I am so excited for you. That is awesome. Well, the other thing that I was going to bring up, I feel like I need to scoot back to like really like draw attention to what it is I'm feeling.
Uh-oh. I'm scared.
You should be.
Oh, Lord.
It just hit me like here I am sitting in between these two people who like I know God is really calling out right now. And it's almost like I just feel you guys expanding right now. And so I wondered if you would mind like speaking to that, like what it is, because you guys are in it. Like right now, this is like so fresh for you to where God is like really calling you to say yes to things and to step out in bravery, to go up that lift and outfitted, right? And outfitted, come on. and just like, I don't know, I think that it's just really important that you share like what it's like to be right where you're at, feeling like that baby bird ready to be tossed out of the nest and fly. No?
Yeah, sure. No, you do.
I don't know. This is kind of hard.
The admitting it part.
Yes, that is hard. Just to be like, this is where God wants me. This is who I am. Just as saying it is like, but if I say it, that means it's true, right? Like that's how.
That means there's
like
an expectation.
Yeah, like there's expectation, and it might happen. Like I don't know if I'm ready for that. But I don't know. There's just been a passion for me for worship and healing, not knowing when I was little, like I've always loved to dance around and gymnastics and all the things, but being in the moment, being crazy, and not like crazy in a bad way, but doing all the fun things. And but worship has always been like I can just okay, praise, worship. If I get it, in a moment worship really helps me turn on that worship music or praise music. And but stepping into something like that or being out in the open or in front of people is hard. Like my first yes to Angie asking, hey, do you want to speak on stage? I was like, no, I don't speak on stage. I don't mind talking to you, but like, speaking, that was hard. But I was like, okay, sure. And then it was, oh, that's fun. Like it kind of, I never thought of myself as a speaker. I'm not speaking. But that was, I actually was like, okay, wait, can I do it again? And then just kind of put it on the back burner. No. But just really feeling a tug for there's something else. And I've just been prophesied over as far as, creativeness and worship and being in front of people. And I'm like, I don't think so. But it's something that keeps coming out more and more and more. So just stepping into this is where I need to be is hard. It's hard for me, just admitting it of, yeah, I'm a speaker, or I'm going to get up on a stage in front of hundreds, thousands of people. I don't know, but this is, that's where I'm at right now. And just, I don't know, like I know there's so much more to be revealed. And I know that I'm like missing so much because it is so hard to put into words onto what it is. But giving God that yes can be hard. And so that's when you really have to pick, okay, God, I want to be what you want me to be. I am who you say I am. I am who you say I am, and so, and then bringing that to others. Hey, how do you feel about that? Or like, you don't even have to, like, if it is something that God wants you to do, someone's going to call it out again and again and again, and it's going to keep coming at you. Like, okay. So just being obedient and stepping into that is good, and it's encouraging, but can also be scary. Not that I'm scared. It's just that feeling of being scared, like, oh, like in the dark, So, yeah, I know there's so much more, and it's kind of like opening a present that's in a present that's in a present that's in a present of the layers. Like, okay, that's the first layer. Okay, that's the second layer, and then it just keeps getting more exciting. So that's how
I'm gonna tell on you. So we're in the middle of a conversation, and it's a deep conversation about the calling on our life and everything. And she is saying everything around the thing, but the thing. And she says it, and it was like having to really pull just to get her to say it, because it's so hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to just admit the thing, to be like, this is what it is, to get it out there, because I don't know why, but I've been there too.
Yeah.
But it's so, if you feel like you're in that place where you're like, you don't even want to acknowledge or look at it, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're still held, right? Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
How about you?
Am I on? Yes. All right. So basically, when my mom passed away in October, end of October, October 28th, my whole world has kind of been flipped upside down. It's a mixture of things. I mean, like, grief is definitely difficult, but there's also a nearness to the Lord. He's in all things, so can find him in everything. But I don't really know how to explain it other than it was like a realization that really realizing that what we see, that there's more to what we see, and that our faith and praying for healing, because I mean, I've had it prophesied over me that I have a gift of healing, and I've prayed for people and they've been healed, so I know that's a thing. But really stepping into that and being like, okay, the results I'm seeing here don't really matter, because what I'm doing every time I pray, there's things happening in the unseen realm. And so just really stepping into that more. I've been doing Tuesday nights, or my Tuesday live. But basically it's like being done with the excuses. Like that's kind of where I feel like I'm at.
Oh, okay.
It's
I'm taking mental notes.
Oh, yes, great. No, that is great. But basically, it's like God unfolding the picture of the mountain. It's like I want to be on the snowboard going down the mountain. Like I want to be going down the mountain. Like I'm done. Like for me, like for years and years and years, depression has been my personal thing that I have used to
Come on.
do this. And what I'm realizing is that God's called me, therefore it doesn't matter whether I'm instantly healed of depression or not, whether it's something that I deal with. I can still fulfill the call on my life and still have depression, and I have to stop using depression as an excuse and a reason not to be able to do that. And we all need to stop using things as excuses in our life to not step into them. And so basically where I'm at is saying I'm all in and then actually following up with steps that show that I'm all in, and also being willing to go wherever he tells me to go. Like basically feeling like I need to carry a message, and I need to be willing. I need to be in the place where I am willing to be like, I will go where you call me. I will, even if it's not a place I necessarily even want to go, even if it's a place I don't want to go, I have to see beyond that, because if God's calling me there, then there's goodness there. So that's basically where I'm at in a nutshell, is like giving the yes. I will say though that since doing this, it's very, very, very hard. Like if you think it's a cakewalk, it's not. It's like sometimes, and some days are easier than others. Like some days I'm having to remind myself all the time. Some days I don't remind myself and I fail and I'm in a pit for the day. It's okay. I have to pick myself up and shake it off and move on, because His mercies are new every morning. But yeah, so basically no more excuses. I want to be snowboarding down the hill and going into the lodge of His presence and feasting on Him and being warmed by His presence and His love, and not standing down the bottom of the hill dressed in my outfit with feeling the elements with no place to go because I'm stuck in fear.
Come on. Gosh. Okay. Thank you.
Just going back to like the saying yes, not living in fear, because I can tend to camp there. Like, oh, that's scary. That's so scary. No. But instead of sitting out in the elements, feeling the cold bitterness, it's, hey, put on the layers and then let God guide you. And I love that picture of Him just like lifting us up, because He never pulls us down. It's lifting us up all the time. Like we pull ourselves down, but He's always lifting us and tugging us more and more. Like, okay, He's always going to be tugging at your heart and where He's called you to be. Like He's going to show you. It's just we have to be willing to have those open eyes and heart and willingness, because it can, that's crazy. It can be crazy out there. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, you want to send me where? You want me to do what? No way. So, but giving God the yes and stop giving the excuses. I live in excuses too. And like, oh, that's too scary. That's too many people, or no, I don't feel well. So yeah,
I just wanted to say one more thing. Like, so there's always opposites to everything too. And so like, I feel like I've lived and dealt with anxiety a lot. And then in this picture of going down the hill, it was like realizing like that there was like adrenaline there. Like it was adrenaline and anticipation and expectancy. And then there's the other side to that is like the anxiety. Like, and so it's like, I want to be flowing in the expectancy and the adrenaline, not in that anxiety place. And when you're doing the things, it's just kind of easier to step into those.
That's so good. So good. I feel like the difference between anxiety and adrenaline is that anxiety hosts fear memories, where adrenaline offers new adventure. And so for me, that's like the difference, because I've seen it. Like when people are in an anxiety spiral, you can see the fear memory. You probably know firsthand, Kim. You can see the fear memories that are confronting them immediately. And I think that that's what is released when anxiety begins to spike. Whereas adrenaline, it might feel familiar,
Right.
but it's different because it's like, it only appears when you're like up against this new thing.
Especially when it's consecrated, it's coming with a
Yes.
God
Ooh,
adventure.
I love that
Yeah.
word. That's a good word. Yeah. So I think knowing the difference is really important. And so would you guys say that the excuses are a hiding place? Yeah. Because I think that it's really important to know, like, where are your hiding places so that you can so easily expose them when they're offering you a space.
And I also think lots of times there are things that that are legitimate, just like I was saying in the whole foolishness wisdom thing, that are legitimate reasons to sideline people. And it's like, no, with God, there's no legitimate reason. There is no legitimate reason to let anything sideline you from doing the things that God, not sickness, not depression, nothing. I mean, Joni Eareckson taught it. Like, there's no excuse. There's no excuse. No excuse. Like, God, there's nothing bigger than God. So therefore, there's nothing that we could be dealing with, faced with, anything that can sideline us. The only thing that sidelines us is our excuses, is us.
Because he sees the whole picture before he even asks.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he knows, right? Like I think we forget who it is we're dealing with. Like he knew the scenario of our life before he even like extended the invitation. So he knows, like, so there's no excuse, no hiding place that it can really even like make any sense compared to the ask.
I also say, I feel like when you're, especially initially when you're doing it, everything comes against you all the time. Because of course, because it's just like when you're like in my picture being in line and when you're getting closer and closer to be getting fuller into the motion of moving, then all those things try to get you to get out of line.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you guys have any questions?
Lisa, I just want to say that when you were talking, I was reminded of Corey Ten Boom and a book she wrote called Tramp for the Lord, and her just like stepping out and going where God called her. Yeah. And I was like, there's Lisa, Tramp for the Lord. Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Anyone else?